To get live, I will barely survive. Gonna keep going because you know I thrive. Oh, hey, Internet, how's it going this week? Why do so many apps come out for the iPhone before Android? Because developers think that's the right way to do things. Dropbox is offering a terabyte of space every year for $100. I think I'll just keep using referrals to get to that point. And Brits responsibly enforce the sacred intellectual property that is the sixth film in the Fast and Furious double trilogy by sending a guy to jail. Seems reasonable. I hope you're not operating heavy machinery, Technophiliacs, because my name's Justin Pott, and I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and you're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. With me today from the UK, as always, is Mr. James Bruce. How's it going, James?
It's great. I haven't been arrested yet.
You haven't been arrested yet? Yeah.
Yet.
Because you're using VPNs, and they aren't admitting that they know how to snoop on those yet. But when they do, you're in trouble, buddy. Because of all the Linux you're downloading. You shouldn't download that much Linux. Also with me, from Connecticut, is Dave LeClaire, a man who's never downloaded a Linux in his life. How's it going?
It's going. I'm a big Fast and the Furious fan, actually. I love those movies.
You are?
I am.
They're
really?
My favorite Fast and the Furious is Tokyo Drift, and that's the one that a lot of people are like, that's not even a real Fast and the Furious. It doesn't even have Paul Walker and Vin Diesel in it. But I think it's by far the best one, not even comparable. Han is the greatest character in any movie ever.
For a complete breakdown of the Fast and the Furious films, you can subscribe to Dave's new podcast where he just talks about Fast and the Furious every week. But for now,
I'm gonna make a YouTube video where on Make Yusuf's channel where I just talk about Fast and Furious for like 5 minutes. I won't get paid for it. I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna record it. It's gonna be me.
We should start doing that
camera,
unpaid.
And I'm just gonna say why Tokyo Drift. It's gonna be like a 5-minute expose on why Tokyo Drift is the superior Fast and the Furious movie.
I'll watch the crap out of that.
Dude, we should do that thing, like, do they have that thing you can do on the internet where we like watch stuff together? We can like watch it together over the internet, James. Mystery Science Theater 3000 it or whatever. We'll sit here.
Oh, we could do it in the Rift Max Theater. We could watch it in 3D. Did they do a 3D one? We should totally do it.
I don't have a Rift.
I think you do, actually. You just haven't opened it because it's a prize.
It hasn't come yet. It's still...
Has it not? Oh, wow.
No,
okay.
I'm still waiting. Okay.
You know what came in the mail for me today?
A Rift? No.
A Raspberry Pi.
It's a Raspberry Pi. I'm pretty freaking excited. I'm going to set up a pirate box for an article and make use of.
Is that the
really
new one?
Excited about that.
Yeah, is that a B+?
It's a B. It's not a B+. It's just a B.
Why would you not get a B+, you noob? It's the same price.
I don't know. This is the one I found.
I didn't know they were still selling the B, but...
Yeah, they said
when
they announced
anyway,
the B+, they said they'll continue selling the B for like companies that use it, who have everything already set up on that.
The only difference is it's got like another USB port. Whoop-de-doo.
And more pin things, I think, on the top.
Ooh, more pin things.
Well, that's what should matter to you is the Hackzor guy.
On the Wi-Fi, yeah. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I also didn't buy a power cable, so that's going to take me a week yet.
What?
It's just a standard micro USB, right?
Yeah, I have one micro USB cable, so I need one that's hooked up to like a power charger. I'm on it, guys. It's gonna be great.
Oh my god, that's so weird. I have like 100 micro USB cables.
Mail me one, dude.
I just had a bunch. When I got mine, I didn't order one either. I just had a bunch of extra cables, and I had a bunch of those, white Apple power bricks to plug it into. So I was like, well, there you go, got power now.
Wait,
it specifically says on the box not to do that.
And you haven't written me any DIY articles?
I've had a Pi for like a year and a half now.
Why the hell are you not writing articles?
Because I don't know how to do anything on it. I used Noob to install XBMC, and then that's all I've ever done with it.
Well, how about you figure out how to do something with it and then write about it?
I'm not very smart.
Welcome to James's do-it-yourself begging people to write podcast, wherein he desperately tries to get people to write for his section by any means necessary. Hey, if you're listening and you think you could hack a Raspberry Pi to do stuff, email James. You might get a job. But for now, let's move on to this week's technology news. A guy got arrested. 3 years in jail in the UK, your fine country, James, for pirating the Fast and the Furious 6, which isn't the best. It's not even the best Fast and the Furious movie, so I don't know why. This seems strict to me. This is the first person, I think, to be arrested for piracy. There's been people fined, but going to jail?
he didn't just pirate it. He distributed the cam. He made the cam copy in the cinema, right? He didn't. Oh, okay. It's not like he just downloaded it. I mean,
okay.
He went in the cinema, took a camera, and recorded a really crappy copy, and then apparently it was downloaded 120,000 times.
120,000 times. Wow. Where did he?
He was also selling them on DVD in like the local pub or something. For
he was selling.
Yeah, I think that's where
recording?
It really gets bad. Is that he sold it?
He only made like £1,000 from it. It's not exactly a big business.
It doesn't really matter though.
It's probably more the fact that
off of a pirated thing. That's where you get to the real.
Yeah.
Problem.
Well, nah, whatever. I mean, it's probably the 120,000 downloads that they're claiming.
He made
like
$1,000, you're saying, and Universal Pictures is arguing that upload cost the company £2.5 million. So he's not a very good businessman, if that's true. If that's even remotely true, he's just bad at this.
I'm seeing that it was downloaded 779,000 times.
Okay, fair enough. I could have got that wrong.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference. That's like 7 times more.
Well, it's not. It's pretty small numbers when you talk about torrent downloads.
Yeah,
right?
Torrent usually in the millions, but not a lot of people are willing to watch. I wouldn't say not a lot.
Cam
of people,
copies,
a lot of people
exactly,
don't want to watch a cam copy. I will gladly wait as long as I need to wait to not watch some dude sitting there like,
I know. Movie. Who buys those?
You see, like, the hand going in front of the microphone, grabbing popcorn halfway through. Yeah, it's just not an ideal experience.
I actually watched one cam movie that was good. It was super bad. I had already seen it in the theaters, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I watched, and I forgot that I was watching a cam movie at some point during it.
It's got to be recorded somewhere in Siberia where there's only one person in the theater and the security guards don't care.
The security guards are the ones recording it. The security guards in there with a tripod setting it up.
Who paid him £1.50 for a cammed copy converted to a DVD? Like, you poor bastard. Seriously, what are you doing?
Back in the day, that's how it used to be, man. You'd go to like Times Square in New York City, and there'd be a dude with like a table set up selling like DVD burned cam rips for $5, and you're like,
it is. These are the kind of users I feel sorry for. Just teach these people how to use torrents.
It reminds me, a couple years ago, there was this thing where one of the main groups of people that leak movies onto the internet changed the format that they do it, because for a long time they strived to make sure every movie released to the internet was smaller than 750 megabytes, so it could fit onto a CD, so people with like CD, DVD players could like play the DivX file, and they changed this, and people on like the Pirate Bay flipped their shit. They were so mad. I can't believe you did this. I have been burning pirated movies to CDs for a long time so that my grandmother could watch them, and you're just screwing me over. And you're just thinking, holy crap, you guys are complaining because the people who rip your movies that you then steal aren't putting them in a format that's convenient for you, and you're bitching, and this is why we're the worst generation of humans in history. That's crazy. That's like someone who sells a tool that makes it easier to steal cars has to tweak it to make it work a little better so it's harder, and everyone's like, I can't believe this car stealing tool is ridiculously hard to use now. You're an asshole, you know that? You're a real jerk. It blows my mind, yeah.
I think the problem here is that the guy was a real dick about it. Like, after he'd been arrested, he's just an arrogant chav who then continued to sell them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, you've already been charged, dude. Give up. And then this
know that right to remain silent thing? I don't know you don't have that in the UK, but it's still a good idea, you know?
He also used the same nickname on a bunch of social networks as he did when releasing the cam copy. So all they needed to do was literally look at the title of the torrent, type his name in. Oh, look, here's his Twitter account. We can trace that. Wow. Oh, my God. 3 years is not enough for this idiot.
Not saying that it's wrong that it's not wrong to pirate movies. It totally is. But if you do it, kids, be smart about it. Now you know. Yeah. Anyways, I've had enough of this guy. Let's move right along. A dude by the name of Samil Shah wrote a very interesting article, I thought, called iOS First, Android Much, Much Later. He's talking about app development here. Now, I can't think of many apps that became huge on Android first and then moved over to iOS later. Most of the time, an app will be on iOS for a long time, and if it picks up traction, maybe they'll port it to Android. Prominent examples are things like Instagram. What's that one? Flip. Basically any famous app, really, on the mobile platform starts on iOS. I can't think of any that goes the other way. And I think there's a reason for this. It's incredibly expensive to develop for Android, and most Android users aren't in love with the notion of paying for apps. You can see this just in games. And people tell me I'm spitting bullshit here and that I'm an Apple fanboy. I'm not. I specifically don't own an iPad, don't own an iPhone. I like Android better. I think of iOS as like a beta platform. Those assholes pay for and test apps so that I can get them for free later. That's the arrangement. But the fact is, this is how it's kind of arranged, okay? People develop for iOS first because there's only been like, what, 6 iPhones in history? That's it. There's a lot more distinct Android devices out there, isn't there, James?
Yes, which brings us on to this little... It's a very cool infographic. Everyone watching, you should click through the link in the show notes because it's very cool. It's highly interactive and stuff. Basically, there's around 19,000 distinct Android devices that have been seen this year by this analyst thing. That's in comparison to 12,000 that was seen last year. So it's actually nearly doubled in like a single year. That there's now twice as many Android phones. It's accelerating. A lot of them have different resolutions you got to cope with if you're designing an app. A lot of them have different hardware. Some are going to have a front-facing camera and some aren't. So if you're developing a photography app, that's something you got to think about, right? There's just a lot of different things. And it has become easier, as Tom Willoughby pointed out on Facebook. He says, this post seems like it was written a few years ago, referring to the one I was talking about before, not a few days ago. Android frameworks make the fragmentation much easier to deal with. iOS use is shrinking, not growing, and the iPhone 5C isn't a low-cost phone. I question the use of Instagram as evidence for his arguments. If you're an app developer reading that article, I hate to tell you that your app won't become the next billion-dollar Facebook acquisition. And I'm just going to cut off here. I don't think any app at this point is going to become the next billion-dollar Facebook acquisition. I think that ship has sailed. I don't know. Twitch just did it. Time.
Spoilers.
What?
Twitch just did it. Twitch.
What?
Twitch isn't a smartphone app. It's a platform
they have an app
videos.
on smartphones. Got them.
But that's not where the position here is.
His point about frameworks is valid, but generally frameworks are tied to the version of the OS. And if you look at versions of how many Androids are running KitKat, which I believe is the latest one, right? Then it's only 20%, which is pathetic.
So if you want to use features in KitKat, you can try, but only 20% of your potential Android users are going to be able to take advantage of that. So you have this lowest common denominator thing going on the platform. And you know what? I don't blame the users at all, because half the time it's impossible to upgrade to the latest version of the operating system. Because the device manufacturers don't support it.
It's interesting that like about half of all Android phones are made by Samsung. That's pretty interesting, I think.
Really? Like, not in terms of devices, but in terms of like physical objects in people's hands? Where's that figure coming from?
Well, it's both. They have a shit
on the
ton
brand
of phones and people who own the phones.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Just in sheer numbers of people who have a phone, they're all half of them are made by Samsung, which is I don't know.
We've had this point before, and we've had arguments with this on the internal chat room. Ryan, my co-managing editor of Make Use Of, seems to think we're full of crap on this one, and maybe we are. And you know what? If there is an app that started on Android, became famous, and then moved over to iOS, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to see it. I think that would be interesting. But it's definitely the exception and not the rule. And
I think there's going to be a few apps which have actually been released simultaneously, but ended up being on Android first, purely because the Apple approval process takes much longer. I've seen that with a couple of
No, that doesn't count. I'm talking about someone who'd made an app on Android with the intention of it being just an Android app, and then it became big enough that like enough iOS users started saying, "Hey, I want this on iOS," and then it went over. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I can name some apps that are only on Android that you can't get on iOS. Emulators.
Okay, what are they?
Emulators. Those are the only ones I can think of because they can't come to iOS.
Not true. There was an iOS one. It got pulled though.
Well, yeah, but the one that stuck around on Android, they stick around. The SNES X9 or whatever has been on there since the dawn of time, and it is still.
I mean, you're right. Obviously, Apple doesn't allow illegal content. Like that's.
No.
They don't even allow porn, do they?
Hey, it's still an app,
and again, if you... I would personally recommend everyone own an Android device. I think it's the better platform. I like emulators. I like the Humble Bundle. There's so much stuff you just can't get because it's not an open environment on iOS. That's my personal take. But if I'm making an app, something like Flipboard, something like Instagram, of course you're going to do Apple first. There's so many fewer devices you need to support. It's so much better documented. Apple gives you such better tools for building it. You're going to do that first, and if it works on... Oh, and did I mention that everyone who uses Apple has more money than they know what to do with and is going to be perfectly willing to pay for an app? That's why Angry Birds is $3 to this day on Apple and free on Android. You can't get a paid version of that game if you want to, I don't think, on Android. There's a reason for that. Apple users have money. That's why they own Apple devices. You know, yeah. So...
So what you're saying basically is that if you're poor, you have to get an Android because you don't really have a choice.
No, what I'm saying is if you're rich, you're stupid enough and value your money little enough that you're going to get an iOS device. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just
no, I think what you're saying is if you're a cheap bastard, you get an Android.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, if you're a rich idiot, you get an iPhone. That's what I'm saying. Flame War time. We should do this more often.
Even Facebook put out that paper app that was only on. They only released that on iOS. I mean, I don't think anybody actually uses that thing.
That wasn't Facebook, was it?
Well, yeah. Because why would you?
Facebook Paper.
You have to pick a platform that you're going to develop for first. If you develop for both simultaneously, you've just doubled your expenses in terms of programming costs because it's not like you can just throw the code from one into the other one, right? So you have to pick one. And if you're going to pick one, why not pick the platform with the users who are more willing to experiment with stuff, the users who are willing to spend money on stuff, generally the users who are more tech savvy. Yeah. Maybe not tech savvy. I don't know. I think it makes sense that developers pick one platform over the other because, yeah, doing both simultaneously is really expensive. And this article, I think one of the best things it pointed out is that if you do Android, you need to do it well. You need to reach everyone. If you put out an Android product and it's not as good as your iOS one, that's going to piss off Android users even worse if you don't have an Android version at all. You know? If you do it, you got to do it well, and it costs a hell of a lot more to do Android well because of all the different devices. So, yeah, it would be interesting to talk with an actual developer on air about this. I've talked with actual developers in person, just behind closed doors, not on the record or anything. And it's just it's a money calculation. It's way harder to develop for Android, and Android users don't like paying for stuff. If you charge for it, they're just going to pirate it, more or less, or not buy it unless you put ads at the bottom and make it free. I mean. Of course, this is a generalization. I'm not saying all Android users are cheap bastards who won't pay for things, but statistically,
I am.
If you look at the numbers, that's how it works out, yeah. What did you say about you?
I am. I'm saying that.
Nice.
Find me a rich Android user who actually chooses Android, not because they're poor.
Moving on. I would like to know how much I spent on iOS apps over my lifetime. Does Apple have a way to check that?
I think you can review it in the iTunes store, I think.
Like, I know on Steam I can go and just see all my purchases. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have not spent a ton, but I've bought...
I'm willing to bet you've spent more on Steam yourself, Dave.
Oh, well, yeah. On Steam I probably spent like $1,000. On iTunes I haven't spent anywhere close to that.
If you have a PayPal account, log into it now and check out their new offers section because you can buy an iTunes gift card for yourself with 25% off if you pay through PayPal, which is awesome.
Nice. There you go. Free deal. Let's move right on. Apparently, this is the story being reported. The Indian state will prosecute you if they think you'll pirate or share porn in the future. They're doing the Minority Report thing over there, James. What's going on?
So this isn't the whole of India. Maybe Koshi can fill us in on this. I don't know, or correct me, because I'm sure some of this has got to be BS. But so it's for the state of Karnataka, which includes the city of Bangalore, and it's passed a new law, which is it's got a really long name, but it's basically being summed up as the Gund Act. And what it allows the state to do is to take people into preventative custody if they think you're going to break one of the rules. One of the laws outlined. So
wait, is this like illegally sharing other people's porn, or does this like include making your own?
No,
like,
just
a morality thing.
Well, you can already be like arrested, I think, if you just forward on a bit of porn. But what this does is it makes you arrestable if they think you're going to forward on a bit of porn. or if they think you're going to pirate something. And you can be taken into custody for a year with, it looks like, no chance of bail.
There's no way that'll hold up in court in a common law system like India has. Like, it'll be turned down eventually.
Well, this isn't the whole of India, remember? It's a dodgy little state.
Well, yeah, but it's still a common law legal system, and at some point, I think there's enough precedent that you can't be arrested for something you haven't done within... I don't know much about India specifically, but in common law systems, that's kind of
apparently,
a big no-no.
You can.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to hold up in court. Just because someone...
Well, it doesn't need to hold up in court, though. The point is, you can be arrested while they are deciding whether to take you to court.
Right now,
there's no courts involved in this.
Right now, this is a problem. Hopefully, it'll get sorted out. It's
not
really
like
messed up, dude.
They can take it to the European Court of Human Rights. This is India.
You can take it to the Indian Supreme Court or whatever. I don't know the legal system that well. I just got to say, from what I know about these sorts of legal systems that were established in the wake of British imperialism, there's generally pretty strong safeguards against this kind of thing. We'll see.
Yeah, we should have never left, really, should we?
Oh my goodness! Really, we're gonna go there? We're gonna go there?
We are gonna go there.
Oh man!
No, we've gone there. We should carry on.
I feel like James.
I think you should have given up America. Personally, I think that's when it all went downhill.
James was one of those British people.
I agree.
He believes that they chose to give up all of their power, not that it was taken from them. He chooses to believe that they voluntarily left all the countries that they used to control.
Who said this?
James. That's what that's how he feels. That's James.
Some of them certainly.
People. He believes that Canada,
they just
Australia,
gave up
and
New
on
Zealand.
America.
That's definitely what happened. They're just like, you know what? We're sick of running you. Can you guys set up your own government? Maybe. Thanks. Bye. That's basically what happened there. India is a little bit different. Yeah.
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 We didn't fight a war or anything. They were just
in fairness, you messed up America without us, so it's not like. I mean, you made a pretty poor choice there. It's got to be said.
Yeah, that was a weak decision, America.
But somehow we still became more powerful.
Britain gets rid of slavery 10 years later, and then America 60 years after that still slavery. I don't know. I think we gotta take some more time to decide this thing.
More powerful, more fat, more hated. On a global scale, swings around about state.
Really? You think America's more hated now than Great Britain was at the peak of their power? Because I think numbers would go against you on that.
Well, we're talking about now.
Is the most powerful is always going to be the most hated.
But Britain was hated especially because they were sadistic assholes.
I think it's whoever invents SUVs that's going to be most hated.
Well, who invented
For more transatlantic drama, join us next week on Technophilia. But for now, we're going to move on to our next story. A Dropbox is offering 1 terabyte of storage for $100 a year. That works out to less than $10 a month for a terabyte of syncing storage. What the hell are you going to fill that up with, considering Dropbox has filters for copywritten materials? James, what are you going to fill that up with?
Actually, I was just going to say this is a crap deal. If you go over to BitCasa, then they have a proper syncing. I think when I signed up, it was unlimited. It might not be anymore though, but it was a lot cheaper than that.
This isn't a crap deal though, because if you're a company that needs to keep a whole bunch of computers with stuff in sync without any downtime, it's a pretty good idea.
Oh, you could use Microsoft Sync. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Or you could use BitTorrent Sync. I talked to the BitTorrent Sync guys yesterday. Yes. I don't think I'm going to put it out on the podcast. It turned out to be not that interesting of a conversation. Oh. No offense, guys. But, they put out a new version, and that's free. But Dropbox offers you a centralized server that's on even if your other computers aren't, right? BitTorrent Sync is decentralized. Dropbox, they're storing it somewhere in the cloud in addition to syncing it between your machines. So, no, I can see this being a big deal for a lot of companies. What's up, James?
What's new with BT Sync?
They put out a new version. You can update your BitTorrent Sync right now. And instead of having to share a secret and then instructing your grandmother how to set up BitTorrent Sync and set up the secret, you can just send an email and it'll give them a link they can click and it'll open it in BitTorrent Sync. So they simplified the process. They simplified the process a great deal. Yeah.
That's cool. I just tried to update it and it says that mine is up to the latest.
I think you have to go to the website and download it directly. I'm not sure. Oh. It's updated for Windows and Mac. Sometimes the update things are a little slow because they don't want to get their server slammed. But it was out as of yesterday. So you can check that out. If you guys think it would be interesting. I mean, Dave, I've sent the conversation over your way. You can edit it. It might be a good little episode.
Oh, I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it go. You have that other interview you got to put out too, though.
Yeah, I've got another interview with the guy about a drone. I'm writing that article yet. I've had some writer's block this week. It's really sucked. That's why there wasn't a rant at the top of the show. Sorry about that, guys.
Slacker.
Last week I was on top of it. I did like 10 meetings with staff, and I wrote 3 articles. I was just on fire, and this week Monday came around, and I'm just like, okay, my brain is dead inside. I'm going to die now.
That girl is on fire!
Yeah.
What?
I don't know, it just happens sometimes. I'm really hoping that after this rejuvenating conversation with you two fine individuals, my brain's just going to be like firing off neurons, and I'm going to write like 5 articles.
I've generally found that most people say that after talking to me, they feel dumber.
Yeah, that's usually how I feel on Wednesday afternoons for that reason. I get done recording, and I'm just like, you know what I hate? Life. Yeah. I'm just going to stop thinking now. And then I eat ice cream and cry. Think about all the things you said and just get sadder and sadder and sadder.
Why ice cream?
Because that's what I eat when I'm sad.
Yeah.
And you make me sad, Dave. You make me sad.
I'm glad.
You know what else makes me sad is clickbait articles about how Apple is failing to live up to its responsibilities. Kirk Lennon, I guess, feels the same way as me, and he generated a Apple clickbait article generator. You just open it, and it'll make, using sentences from clickbaits about Apple's impending demise, just an article at random generated about how terrible Apple's doing. So this is fantastic. So I'm just reading one here. I've long been a dedicated Apple fan. I've had Macs since before they were cool, and I've got the rainbow stickers to prove it. But something has changed in the company. The launch of the iPhone 5S and the much-anticipated 5C seems like a week at this point in time. Why? And you can just hit refresh, and you will get a new article generated at random by pulling sentences from random articles about Apple. I think this is great. I think we should make this for every major tech company. Like, there needs to be a Google one. There needs to be a Microsoft one. And I would just link to them once a day. Seriously, on Twitter. I think this would save a lot of time. Oh, Apple's making an announcement? Here's why it's disappointing. And you just link to it, and it's random for everyone. And people would probably respond, oh, yeah, I agree with this. Great analysis. I think this needs to become a thing. Yeah. I mean, this could replace tech news as we know it.
We could try something a little like this on Make Use of. Like, we could gather some user data, figure out what platforms they like most, and depending on whether they like Windows or Apple, we could like show them a different version of an article. You know? So no matter what we get comments of, I totally agree with this. You are spot on.
We are launching a new version of the site where people can subscribe to certain sections. So if you want to just go to makeuseof.com and just see Windows and Linux articles, you could do that. Or just Windows and Android and maybe security. So we could totally use that, see what people have decided to subscribe for, and then all of our opinion articles, we show them something that they agree with no matter what. So, like, if James writes this Apple rant about how great iPhone is and how Android's terrible, they'll instead see my Android rant about how Android's clearly better. And everyone in the comments is going to be so confused. They're like, yeah, this article's dead on. Android's way better. And the next guy's going to be like, yeah, this article's dead on. I think this is wonderful. I think this should be... I think this is the future of tech journalism as we know it. This is a game changer, guys. Like, imagine a world where every commenter is happy in the comments. Just all of them.
Well, let's not be unrealistic. I mean, every commenter happy. That's never going to happen.
So what you do is, if they start writing an angry comment, you dynamically change the article in response to it above that. Like, this is bullshit. Windows isn't that good, and then all of a sudden it changes. Windows is bad.
We've detected your disgust with this article and changed the content
changed it automatically.
Please reread and reconsider your comment before posting.
Telling you, man, future. This is the future of tech journalism. Everyone's always going to read something they agree with no matter which site they look at. You could be going to macrumors.com and it's just going to be all about how great Windows is because they're going to sense that that's what you want to see and they're going to change it accordingly. I think, this is going to save journalism, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So... congratulations, Kirk Lennon. You've given us a model for the future. Someday I think there's going to be paper newspapers. And if you see an opinion you don't like on Harry Potter style, you just shake it and the opinion will change to be something you agree with. You know who was a jerk? Bush. Shake. You know who's a jerk? Obama. Yeah, that's a good article. I want to read that one. You could do this for everything, yeah.
Did you see this article? What was it? Tom? No, who just posted it? Sig. It's all about Facebook. Is going to start suppressing articles with clickbait headlines, so that basically destroys BuzzFeed's model, doesn't it?
Facebook, yeah, I've heard about this. It turns out Facebook users are really unhappy if they open an article and it doesn't deliver what the headline promises. And they're developing algorithms to spot sites that cause this to happen most. Because what people do after that is they close Facebook in disgust. And that's what Facebook doesn't like. They want you to keep using Facebook, right? So they're going to stop showing those articles. Yeah, I think it just goes on to an occurring lesson. It doesn't matter what kind of a site you are. If your business model depends on traffic from an external source, eventually that external source is going away. We've seen that with Make Use Of. We lost a ton of traffic over the summer because of our dependence on Google search results. But a site like BuzzFeed is dependent on Facebook, dependent on Twitter for its traffic, right? That's how it gets that currency, right? Eventually that's going to go away, because if you do something that causes people to dislike Facebook, Facebook's going to change it. I mean, we saw this with our Facebook pages too, right? Tons of people spent a lot of time building up Facebook pages with hundreds of thousands of fans, Make Use Of included, and now Facebook doesn't show hardly any of the posts we share with those fans. They're just like, screw you. Yeah.
What's the point? What's the point of anything? Oh my god!
The point is you need to build up readers who are loyal not to Facebook, not to Google, but you. I mean, that's the only way forward for any site that's looking to be viable long term. It's an absolute bitch to pull off. I don't know how to do it, but that's what you got to try. That's kind of the model now.
I feel like that's impossible when you have a site with like a ton of authors. Like if it was just my site, obviously people would love me. But the thing is, they're going to love me, and then they're going to read like some other opinion article from some other opinionated author. And they're going to be I hate you, I hate Make Use Of, I'm unsubscribing, I'm never coming back again.
No, you're right. And what we offer is a really diverse amount of opinions. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes we do get articles. I mean, we had an article written by our Windows editor about why you should use Windows last week. And we've got a lot of loyal Linux users, right? Because we've got great Linux coverage. Right. And, you know, if you just read the Linux section, you're only going to see those Linux points of view. But if you wander off into the Windows section, you might see opinions you disagree with. So it's hard to build loyalty when you're not in a specific niche. I think we've done a pretty good job. We've got some pretty loyal readers. I think a lot of them started as Technophiliacs, though, so I'm really thankful to you guys.
Technophiliacs!
Wow. Now they're not Technophiliacs anymore. That was... wow.
Technophiliacs.
You gotta give that a beat, James. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Okay, this is terrible. This is never gonna work. The leg. Oh, so bad. Oh, no. We're under attack. It's an
sad news next.
Technophiliac. Moving right along.
I thought you were gonna rhyme that with nutsack.
Why? Well, that's just where your brain. That's why your rap career never took off. Every time you get to something that rhymes with nutsack, you just go there right away.
You gotta do it.
Never worked.
If you rhymes with balls, you go with balls. You know, on and so forth. And next thing you know, you're just singing about balls all the time, and it's just a sad life.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah. Your rap career was cut off at a very early age because of this.
I was in my prime, man.
It didn't resonate with middle America.
I walked into Dr. Dre's office and I was like, Dre, let me tell you something. And he was like, what's up? And I was just started talking about balls. And he was like,
balls.
Get the fuck out. And I was like, all right, Dre, I'm sorry.
To be fair, though, pretty impressive that you made it to his office in the first place.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
I'm a ninja, so, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited.
Hey, I'm from Connecticut. I really like video games, and I want to talk to you about balls.
His receptionist was like, well, you're in luck. Dr. Dre loves balls, so you can go on ahead and see him.
Oh, my.
So for any of our listeners still with us...
Okay, we've got some kind of serious news here. There's a post going out a little later today. Basically, MakeUseOf.com is shutting down the rewards program. Now, a lot of you probably aren't members of rewards, and just to be clear up front, this is not the giveaways where we give away devices at the end of reviews. That's untouched by this, completely unrelated.
We're totally still doing them.
What's up?
We're totally still doing them. In fact, we have
totally
a better entry widget now. It's even cooler.
But what we're not... We had a program for a long time. It was related to the gamification craze of 2011. where we would give people points if they did things like shared our articles. I think for a while we did comments, but that resulted in a lot of comments we didn't want, so we got rid of that. So it was this thing where we tried to get people to do stuff we wanted them to do, and then gave them stuff. And some people, to their credit, totally did exactly what we wanted. They shared articles with friends and family, and we gave them points, and they used it to buy software. Some other people created Twitter accounts with precisely 0 followers, clicked the button, and got the exact same amount of points as people who were actually sharing. And this has been happening for a long time. We've tried to police it in various ways. You know what? It's not happening. I mean, it's a cat and mouse game. We're never going to win this thing. As long as we've put a system in place that rewards people for doing stuff directly, we're going to get people who game it. And I don't think we can win. It sucks to the people who have been doing it well. We really appreciate you guys. We hope you will take the next 2 weeks to spend your points. There's t-shirts. There's software to be had right now. I'm going to see if we can't get the supplies replenished. But unfortunately, we got to shut this thing down because some people suck, most of whom statistically seem to live in Asia. I think they're...
India.
I think a lot of people were acquiring software and reselling it. I really do. But I can't confirm this. All I know is for various reasons we can't afford to keep the system up. It sucks.
I better spend my shit, yo.
Sig Interrupts says, does this mean I have to send back my make use of t-shirt? No, that's your t-shirt. But if you have reward points, cash them in now because they're going
away. You can go get some t-shirts.
There's still t-shirts for sale.
Them.
I need...
there's an awful lot of points in the system, I should add. I've had a look through the list, and tons of you have so many points, you just need to go spend them. Although, the thing is, you're probably waiting until we have, another Nexus 7
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, no, I'm sorry.
I was waiting till I had enough to get a t-shirt. I wanted a shirt, but
Do you really not have enough, Dave?
No,
I want me to give you some points?
Realize you could just I am Jackson and be like, I would like a t-shirt.
I wanted to get
probably send one to you, right?
I wanted to get it legit, and I'm 609 points short of the shirt.
I've got points. Maybe I can buy you a shirt. I've never spent any of my points.
No, I don't care
Not
enough. If I got enough points, I would have got one. If I don't get enough points, then I won't get one.
Okay.
I don't care that
Do you want me to give you 600 points?
No, I told you. No. If I'm not going to get it legit, I don't want it.
Okay, well, you can get 30 a day, so that's going to take, what, do some math for me, 20 days?
I'm not going to get 30 a day, though, so fuck it.
We are working. So the other thing with make use of rewards is we were paying a third party to offer the service. I'm not going to name that third party here, but there was some really basic website stuff that they couldn't do. Like if you wanted to change your password, the workflow was seriously to email me, and then I would email someone over at that company. And we were paying them quite a bit of money, and it was frankly unacceptable. So there's a lot of reasons we can't continue. We were spending a lot of money, and we weren't getting that much traffic from the few people who were legitimately sharing.
Yeah. Now the question is, I'm interested to see what happens to our share numbers after this change.
I will say we replaced the giveaway widget with something very cool from a company called Gleam.io, Gleam, and it is so nice. It is such a sexy little widget.
Wait, the giveaway?
Really
we're
works
not using
well.
Spring Punch or whatever anymore?
Don't mention the name, Dave, and no, we're not. So we've switched over to
I don't think that's
now.
actually the name, so it's fine.
It's not.
I think I was in the ballpark, but I don't think that
But the cool thing about this other Gleam.io company is that you can add entries for really tons of different social networks. It's not just like the big three. It's not Facebook, Twitter, Google+. You can actually
Were
reward
we
people
using
for...
PunchTab for this before?
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was. What did I say? Spring Punch?
But you said we weren't going to say... Anyway, you can reward people for, say, subscribing to you on YouTube now, as well as...
oh, that's great.
Subscribing on SoundCloud, for instance.
Well, so and I think a lot of the software, instead of having this rewards program with points, I think we're just going to give it away directly to readers who happen to be on the site. So, keep
More
checking out
giveaways,
Make Use of. We're going to keep giving you free stuff. We're not going to stop doing that. It's just this point
sweet.
system.
And the new thing has a mobile entry thing. That's awesome.
Yes, that was so important because the other one just didn't work.
Although I do have to say, I have seen people on Facebook commenting saying, I don't like the new thing.
Did they say why, or did they just say, I don't like it?
Just I don't like it.
Right. Well, thanks for that.
As fascinated as I'm sure this is for our audio
I will
listeners
respond
who aren't
and
sure
ask.
what Make Use of is, maybe we should move on to the biggest gaming news of the week. Twitch was bought, and it wasn't by Google. What the hell? This was just so settled. I think I'd been saying it as though it's fact, but no, Amazon, it turns out, bought Twitch, which I think is actually a pretty good place for Twitch to end up. Now, Dave, you are by far our most loyal Twitch user here. What do you think?
I think I'd rather that than Google, mainly just because it spreads it out, you know? Instead of having one company in charge of all, like, being the #1 streaming platform and the #1 like on-demand viewing platform, you get two different companies kind of competing with each other. So I think it's better. Either way, I think it's good for Twitch. Amazon, you know, whether it was Google or Amazon, it's a bigger infrastructure. Yep. So I think it should be a good thing. I'm interested.
Twitch has been operating at a loss for a while now, right?
I don't know. Have they?
You don't know?
I haven't heard that. I would assume they would be making money. They have a shit ton of popular
maybe not.
events.
I don't know. But I have to imagine, with Amazon's incredible resources in terms of computer servers, that this is going to lower their operating costs, just in terms of scale. Because Amazon's got an amazing network of computers set up already.
Do you think
it's going to be helpful for them? Yeah, what's up?
Do they actually want Twitch, or was it more like a cock block?
I don't think anybody makes a $970 million cock block. That's a very, 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 very expensive.
I can't help thinking they just did it on purpose. Yeah. Like, they're just like, we don't want it, but like we don't want Google to have it. So
you know what?
That's quite expensive.
If Apple did it, James, I totally believe that they just didn't want Google to do it. Amazon has legitimate interest in online video. They've been trying to push Amazon Prime as a video streaming service for a while now. I mean, like I said, they've got server infrastructure set up everywhere. I could see this as a long-term thing. What do you think, James? What are you saying?
Why does Amazon want Twitch? I don't see the connection. What are they going to do with gaming?
Well, the thing is, it's not even just the gaming broadcast, though. They have that, but they can use the Twitch's streaming technology in all different ways. You know, so you're not just buying Twitch's like their brand and their users, but you're also buying Twitch's streaming technology that Amazon can go then take and use for whatever the hell they want.
So wait, I gotta think Amazon's streaming tech is probably better than Twitch's, isn't it?
What streaming tech? Amazon doesn't have any live streaming. They have everything they have is VODs.
Well,
it's all video on demand.
They have movie streaming stuff, don't they?
Yeah, but that's not live streaming.
Totally different.
That's
totally
on
different.
demand. Like that's like they have like YouTube. You know, you click on a file and it streams to you. Whereas Twitch is.
I still don't get what they're going to do.
You got to look at the big picture here, though, James. Because
give me the big picture.
The big picture. Okay, every once in a while, a piece of technology comes along that makes the previous generation say, "Why the hell are people interested in that?" Okay, for our generation, it was video games. We got it. Our parents were like, "What's the appeal here?" We don't get it. My mom's a notable exception, but most people were like, "I don't get what that is. You kids and your crazy video games, whatever." This is happening right now. There are people in their early 30s, late 20s who have no idea why the hell you'd want to watch someone else play a video game. I think part of the entertainment of the future, something that no one would have imagined in the early 90s, is going to be watching strangers who aren't even that famous doing stupid stuff like playing video games or like washing their cat or whatever. Like I really do think this is going to be a big thing. There's going to be celebrities who just do stuff like that. And I think Amazon's getting into it early on. What's up?
Do you think they'd expand Twitch to be more than just game streaming? Like they'll try and compete with YouTube, maybe.
I don't think they'll expand Twitch to be more than game streaming, but I think they'll start a Amazon streams thing that is for other stuff. And
Amazon streams.
It'll just Twitch will be Twitch because Twitch already has such a huge user base. I don't think you'd want to mess with that. And then they'll take the technology that Twitch has and make Amazon something, and that will be.
So it's like buying a TV network just so you can advertise and potentially do stuff in the future. I don't know.
It might be partially like you said, though. It might be just that, like, well, a bunch of people really want this thing, so we have a lot of money. Why don't we get it?
Oh, but there's a ton of value in Twitch right now. You could be buying ESPN in 1980 for under $1 billion, which would have been a really good move.
That's true.
You know? This could be the equivalent of that. So
it's good.
I mean, Disney basically did that, I think, and it was a good move for them. I think that's where.
It's just so random.
Disney makes most of its
Facebook
money.
buying Oculus Rift. It's kind of out there. I don't really get it.
I think it's less out there than Facebook buying Oculus Rift. At least At least Amazon
has
has video stuff already. Facebook had
Facebook has a social network, and they're trying to build the
yeah, but they had no like video game
VR
platforms.
network, right?
So we've got a question in the chat room here from Kashi, and he's like, what is the appeal of watching people play video games? It is completely boring for me. Now, Dave, you are a notable person, a notable Twitch user in that you do most of your work, so far as I can tell, with a Twitch stream of some sort going on in the background. Why? Why do you do this?
Well, most of what I watch, like 90% of what I watch for gaming is competitive, though. It's like, you know, mostly I watch like Dota tournaments and stuff like that, which is basically the same thing as, you know, the same reason you watch a sport, I guess. You know, you could just easily be out playing said sport, but you're watching it instead because it's easier.
Well, no, it's also, I don't know, people who really like to play chess have for hundreds of years bought books that recreate famous chess games one board at a time, right?
Yeah.
I think as long as games have existed, people have liked seeing these things recreated in some form. It's not just sports. Sports is culturally the most acceptable, but I think this is broader than that. But yeah, so you're watching professionals, you're watching people who are really good at this, and you're seeing moves that you yourself couldn't pull off, right?
Or that I could pull off and I just didn't know about, and I you know, say, oh shit, he did that. That's a really good strategy or whatever. So there's that.
Yeah.
Plus it's you know, it's like the same reason people watch like YouTubers that do like Let's Plays, is you're watching for the game is secondary, the personality of the person streaming is the main thing. So like, you know, you got like some of the pro Dota players out there. There's a couple that I watch that are like super funny, and they're like super trolly when they're playing. So they're always fucking with their opponents and their teammates, and like, so I'll watch them because they're funny. But it's not even just the Dota, it's they're funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watch it sometimes, but only when I'm waiting on a game to be delivered that I've bought, and like Americans have already got it, so I can kind of get a feel for the game before or before I decide to buy it, right?
That's the other.
And
really
apparently,
good
what's
use.
become really common. So when you were a kid, there was probably a video game at some point you really wanted, but your parents haven't bought it for you yet because you had to wait for Christmas or whatever. Kids today will just watch someone else playing the game obsessively because they want this game so bad. That's what I totally would have done as a kid. I would have.
I don't do that for anything with a story, but for like a Call of Duty or something, you know, like that, it works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have a story like I wouldn't do that with Watch
It's just
Dogs
hyping yourself up for the game, right?
Yeah. And it's a good way instead of. I mean, it's the same. Like again, it's the same with like the Let's Plays and stuff. It's a good, more raw, honest look at the game than perfectly edited and trimmed and tailored review. It's just like, here's me playing it, and here's my reactions to playing it without any filter.
I've made some of my purchasing decision based on Let's Play videos on YouTube for this very reason. You get a good sense. You just watch the first couple levels, and you get a really good sense of what the game's about and whether you think you'd enjoy it or not. Yeah.
However, back to Koshi's question. There are people who will just like sit there and watch you know, Twitch streams for hours on end and just watch somebody playing, random people, you know, like that. I don't necessarily get the appeal of, but you know, everybody's got their own
what
thing
about
they
the appeal
enjoy.
of a fish that's playing Pokemon?
Well, that's interesting and weird. That's cool.
No, it's not.
Well, maybe interesting is the wrong word. Weird. That's weird. And
it's weird how many people cheer when it manages to leave Pallet Town. Like, I don't think it's made it over to the next
move
town yet.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just different and odd. Yeah. But I mean, Twitch is a big deal. I think at this point we can all agree that Twitch and watching people play games is big business now.
I just don't understand where people find all this time. Like, seriously, there is so much media right now in my queue to watch that I have no idea how I would fit in 5 hours of watching someone else play.
I really do think it's people who have it on during the background when they're doing something else.
I very rarely sit and just watch, unless like I said with the competitive stuff. If like my favorite team is playing, then I stop what I'm doing and I watch it. But otherwise, if I have a Twitch stream on, it's just like it's on my second monitor. And if I hear, like, if it's a competitive game or if it's just somebody, if I hear them start yelling, then I know, something big's happening. I turn over and look at it and then watch whatever the big thing is and then go back to working. I could not just sit there for hours and just watch someone play. That would be boring.
No, so I think that it's just a different use case. I think But there's a lot of value there. There's a lot of value there. You're getting
clearly
people attention in the background.
$970 million worth of value.
James, it's kind of weird for you to be asking these questions because there are people right now watching us just talk live for no apparent reason.
That's true.
Why not watch someone play a video game? I thought it would be cool for a long time for one of us to play a game while the other ones talk. I don't know. I like the idea. I like the concept. It's entertaining.
I think us playing Minecraft could be an absolute winner.
5 years ago. We're kind of behind the curve on that one, aren't we?
Yeah, I am. Whatever.
It's not old enough to be retro, but you're right. It's insanely relevant. But yeah, that's fun. I cannot stress how big a deal Minecraft is to kids who are like in the 5th grade.
Or
right
to
now. Like,
30-year-old men named James Bruce.
Yeah, that too. You actually pitched. You want to write like the Minecraft manual. Like you're on this all of a sudden. You're really.
I do.
You're right on the current trends. You're all over this.
When he messaged me that, I was like, "You lose all rights to make fun of anything that I play. You can't mock me for playing World of Warcraft when you just told me."
You know what we should do next?
I
was going to
so
say
deep.
You can do a World of Warcraft manual when you're done with that one because that's just ahead of the grade here.
Yeah, wow.
Then Dave will finally let me write my ultimate guide to Mario 3.
Like, you have no idea how rare it is for me to find a game that I can actually play with my wife. Like,
yeah,
really?
You chose to.
We've got Little Big Planet and we've got Minecraft, and that's like it.
You got to get her into Dota, bro. Like I got Jess into Dota.
She would not touch that crap, Dave. No way.
We went looking at laptops yesterday at the store because she needs. I have to send out the one that I reviewed, so she can't play Dota on it anymore. So she's got to buy one.
She was playing Dota on the review unit?
Yeah.
For a month?
Awesome.
It was a couple weeks. It was.
Man.
I thoroughly tested it.
Where did you end up mailing it to?
I don't remember who the winner. They were the United States. I don't remember what state they were in or whatever.
Sig Interrupt in the chat room just said, Technophilia Live is my background. I'm focused on watching a Twitch stream. So
Get out! Get out!
You're my new favorite.
Not worthy of the chat room.
I wish the chat room had a thing where I could like designate who's my favorite right now. I think it would be a little feature that people would I think they'd be all about it. Let's move right along. Annoying little kid thinks it's fun to DDoS a bunch of games and threaten planes. Oh, well, this is just kind of the happy headline that makes you get up in the morning. This is the kind of thing you want to see. What's going on?
I wrote the headline there.
Yeah.
So
this really made me happy.
This group called Lizard Squad. You can search for them on Twitter. They've been tweeting about their exploits. They've been DDoS attacking World of Warcraft. They've been DDoS attacking Steam and Dota, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live. And the list of games that they've DDoS'd goes on and on. So, like, all throughout this past week, WoW has been going down intermittently from them. So it's been annoying. But then they went a little too far and posted a tweet saying that there was a bomb on the head of Sony's.
Oh yeah, they diverted his plane for that.
Yeah, so now it becomes like, okay, now you're not just being a funny little hacker guy, but now the FBI stepped in and said, well, guess what? You're terrorists, motherfuckers. So now the FBI is coming for them. And I think
they would have gone for them anyway. Actually, I mean,
well, but
they're
not with such haste. You know, DDoS in games is not really like super high on the priority list, but hacking, threatening to blow up planes is. But I actually just went to their Twitter, which I was there earlier today. I've been checking up on him every day just to see what the guy's up to because he's kind of funny. They go whenever he DDoS's the game, he goes and picks like the top Twitch streamer of that game and like starts talking shit and saying like, if you write Lizard Squad on your forehead, I'll let the game come back up. But their account just got suspended within the last hour. It was up before we started the show.
Yeah, they're not on Twitter anymore.
Before we started the podcast today, it was up, and now within the last hour of us doing this, it went down. So I don't know what they said in that hour, but something happened that got their Twitter account taken down. Unless the FBI subpoenaed it or whatever, you know.
It takes Twitter way too long to shut down accounts like this sometimes. I think it's...
Yeah.
If you threaten to blow up a plane, you should be taken down within the hour, I think. I mean, that's not a free speech thing.
That was like a week ago. Or
I know,
not a week ago,
I know,
like
that's
3
crazy.
days ago that he threatened the plane.
It's amazing
So for those who
how
aren't familiar,
easy this appears to be, and how many people it actually affects.
Yeah.
I found it to be quite
other than the over the world.
Other than the plane thing, I've been quite entertained by the whole thing.
Yeah.
You sounded pretty upset.
It seems like there should be
play
pretty
my
basic.
But I thought it was
It seems
just
like there should be
hilarious.
pretty
the
basic
fact that the
defenses
dude
for
was
DDoS.
going, like, from what I understand, James, you probably know better than me, but DDoSing is not like an impressively hard thing to do. You're literally just sending a bunch of
This means you have a
pings
bunch of
to a
computers,
server.
yeah. Right.
But so it was funny that the guy was acting like he's some like lead sauce like Neo from the Matrix hacker when really all he's doing is just he has control of a botnet that he's sending to his server and pinging it over and over. But I just found the whole thing was very fascinating to watch for the last few days. Even if it was preventing me from playing WoW, my boredom from not being able to play was stymied by reading the guy's Twitter account and watching his.
But now that's gone. You can't.
Yeah,
even
I don't know what to do with myself.
I can't say I even noticed.
Yeah. Sorry. That really sucks.
Koshi wants us to recommend a game for him. He liked BioShock and Mass Effect.
Okay.
I still think Watch Dogs is pretty cool. I like the story there, and it's got elements of RPG-ish stuff for you from Mass Effect, I guess.
If you like Mass Effect, you should go check out like the other BioWare games, like go back on Xbox and play like Knights of the Old Republic or something. Like it's the same type of or Jade Empire. They're all those same style games as Mass Effect with the BioWare choices. Or Dragon Age. There's another BioWare RPG that's very much like Mass Effect.
Oh, you should play Minecraft.
You should not play Minecraft though.
While we're talking about the subject of games that are based on cubes primarily, Phil Fish completely shut down his page this week because it was DDoS'd so badly. Someone took over the site completely, and he's like, you know what, I'm done. He's getting rid of the company. I guess he's going to sell Fez. So I just want to say to you assholes who did this, as someone who doesn't care about the politics of the games, doesn't care that much about what Phil Fish said or did, but really enjoyed the game, someone was making things that delight some people, and you stopped them. So congratulations, asshole. And that's about all I got to say.
He gave up because his page was hacked? I mean, what a...
His page was hacked, and the...
That's weak, man.
When gamers start attacking you constantly around the clock, it affects every part of your life. And just... Why? Why are you doing this? Don't you have shit to do with your own time? Instead of bitching at someone who made something, why don't you get up and make something yourself and stop spending so much time torturing this guy?
At the very least,
I don't
redirect that anger somewhere worthwhile.
Yeah, seriously. Who cares? He's a guy who makes video games. Some people like it, some people don't. And yes, he's a bit of a dick on Twitter sometimes.
Was it the same
Take down
guys
the Fox
that,
News Network or something. Take down BuzzFeed, I don't know.
Was it Lizard Squad that hacked his site?
I don't think Lizard Squad had anything to do with this, but it's just... You know, like, I'm really happy that some of the great artists of history didn't have Twitter accounts at the time. Like, if Vincent van Gogh had a Twitter account, I think he would have been a total asshole to everyone on it, and everyone, oh, don't look at Starry Night, this guy's a jerk. Who cares? Okay? Who cares? Yeah, he's a bit of a jerk on Twitter sometimes. The work's still good. I'm certain, based on what I know about Vincent van Gogh, that he would have been an asshole to everyone who tweeted at him. Like, he would have responded angrily. You just don't understand. You don't get it. Like, who cares? The art's still good. Let's look at the art. You know, if it's a fun game, play it. If it's not a fun game, don't. Why are you getting into the politics of this? Who cares what he said?
Oh, they exposed
He made a
his,
game. It made people happy.
They exposed his personal
They doxed
info.
him.
Yeah, that's why he's getting out of everything, because now people know his address and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
No, this goes beyond just hacking the site. They exposed his personal information.
Not just
people
a DDoS attack.
People were phone calling him and threatening him, and yeah, it's just, who cares, guys? He made a game. Some of you didn't like it. Yes, the gaming press maybe gave it too much hype too early. Just leave the guy alone. But it's irrelevant now. We're never going to get a sequel to Fez. Some of us were looking forward to that. So thanks for being assholes.
To be fair, we were never going to get a sequel to Fez.
Yeah.
Phil Fish was never making.
I hope he keeps making games and just does it from a pseudonym, and no one knows. When Fez 2 comes out, it'll be like a frog. What was it? Frog math? Frog fractions. He'll just release it, and no one will know if it's the sequel to Feds or not. That's what I hope.
Penis.
Anyways, moving right along, as someone else who gets... If you want to be criticized on the internet and attacked almost to the level Phil Fish was, you should say that, hey, maybe women should be thought of as a force in gaming and it shouldn't be a completely male-dominated industry. For some reason, this pisses people off, and they will call you terrible things on Twitter. I don't know why, but that's the case. But statistically this week, we found out that women now make up almost half of all gamers. So this idea that gaming is this teenage boy pursuit, completely false. Game studios should maybe reconsider whether they want to exclusively aim for that demographic, because that's just not who's doing the gaming.
It never was a teenage boy thing, in fairness. It was always a 18 to 25 or something is the actual...
Yeah, according
I think in the 90s it was more of a kids and teenage boy thing. But
now they're older.
Yeah, it's the same kids, right?
So according to they've grown up. To the Wall Street Journal, is 48% of people who play video games are women, 52% are men. But the key thing to point out in that is that they're including like iPhones and stuff in that. So they're not saying like your hardcore PC gamers are 48% women. It's 40% of people who play video games, but that includes, they said, like the Nintendo Wii.
So what are you saying? Those don't.
So what it's really saying
video games
is that roughly half the population is female. Is what it's actually saying.
Well, no, I think the console makers are maybe missing out on an opportunity if they make half their content so unpleasant for women that they don't even want to touch it. I think these people are interested in video games. They maybe don't own the console that you do, but why would you?
If I'd say they're interested in video games, they're interested in playing games on the smartphone that they already own.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an elitist. That doesn't count as a video game to you?
No, it really doesn't. It's
casual gaming. If you wanted to say the percentage of females who play casual gaming is higher than those who are, hardcore console.
The difference
gamers.
is they're
obviously
not
they still exist, right?
Listen, you guys, what's the distinction?
The distinction is they're not actively seeking out a console with the sole purpose of playing games. They bought a phone that happens to run games. And then
there's not that many girl gamers who will sit down at the sofa and have an 8-hour binge session on Call of Duty,
I don't know if I would say there aren't that many. I'm sure there's a good amount, but it's not...
There's a good number, but it's less than 48%.
I would say it's
tell you that right now.
48%.
Do you think maybe the attitudes that they're going to run into when they play Call of Duty contributing to that?
I don't doubt that at all, but...
Well, there's plenty of single-player games, too.
Well, that's true. That's true. But those notably aren't tracked as well as the online ones, so I don't know.
Like, there's even a quote in the article that says, while a game like Assassin's Creed is predominantly purchased by males, it isn't necessarily played by just guys. So it's mostly males purchasing them. Another trend that is apparently, they said, is that a lot of couples play games together. So, again, like
Assassin's Creed, huh?
Well, they were interviewing a Ubisoft executive, so of course he's going to talk about their game. Hey, by the way, our game is played by lots of couples. Couples love pirates. They love running around killing people as pirates. We're Ubisoft.
I don't know. That's how I play most games, is with my wife.
But I think that's cool.
So I could see that.
Yeah, I think it's cool that there are a lot more women playing games, but to me, I don't consider it a real game unless you have to go out and seek a separate device to play it. You know what I mean?
That's a little arbitrary, isn't it? So you're saying PC gaming isn't a thing?
It depends. It depends. Did you? Okay. Are you seeking out a gaming PC? Are you going out and spending a lot of money to play a PC that can run new games, or are you just downloading free, like cheap games? Yeah, but that's how it works. That's what defines someone as a actual gamer. If you are not willing...
Okay, so if someone plays Minecraft 10 hours a day on a computer that they mostly bought to do spreadsheets and use their internet...
Minecraft is a weird one.
They're not a gamer.
Minecraft is a kind of a... like a gap bridger, I guess, because it doesn't fit
what if they're playing just indie games on a cheap PC? Does that count?
It depends.
Are there certain mobile games that count?
What was their intentions when they bought that PC? Did they?
I think the problem that this stat includes people who play like Solitaire on a PC, right? That's going to be a game.
Yeah, basically, people who only play smartphone games are like James said. They're the same people who only played the free Solitaire that was installed on their Windows. Are they gamers because they played Solitaire on their Windows phone? No, they're not. They're just people who played Solitaire on their Windows phone. If you're only playing like bullshit Kim Kardashian's free game on your iPhone, I would not really call you a gamer. You're a person who's playing a game on your phone that you bought to be a phone that happens to play games.
There are so many notions of identity here wrapped up, right? Because to me, the word gamer implies you're a person who plays games. If you have a PC... So I'm thinking like if someone played FTL for 3 hours a night on a computer that they bought to do something else, you might consider them because you would consider FTL to be a legit gaming experience. But you're saying if they play Solitaire, that doesn't count. They're not gamers.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're turning gamer into a mark of identity, right?
Well, it's more like they're hardcore gamers. There are people who are gamers who consider themselves that gaming is a hobby for them, and there are people who happen to play video games. And they're very different. It's just
manipulating numbers, this, obviously.
The random person who downloads the free games on their iPhone is not going to be going to Giant Bomb to read about the latest video game news. But the person who goes out and buys an Xbox One will.
What I'm proposing to you is that we need to have a more blanket term for gamers, because there's always going to be lots of subcategories. I found out, so I sometimes, what is it? I think it's Penny Arcade puts out this YouTube channel about game design questions and thoughts. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dave?
No.
Anyway, I gotta think of it. I'm sorry. Anyways, they had this episode all about found object games and how this is like a huge money-making thing on iPads and tablets. Found object games. Lots of people are designing them. People are paying for them. But quote-unquote gamers don't know this is happening.
Is that like those things that are in Highlights magazine when you were a kid?
So, kind of like it. I don't fully understand what it is myself, I have to admit.
It's just like a point-and-click thing where you find...
Sort of, yeah. But people are putting significant amount of time into this. They're paying for games on tablets, which is pretty rare in and of itself, right? And they're really enjoying it, and they're getting a lot out of this experience. Now, those people, would you consider them, quote-unquote, gamers? I don't know, and this is why I'm saying you are not using the term to mean people who play games. You're using it to represent a very specific identity, a very specific niche. And all I'm proposing is that the amount of people who play games on electronic devices is broader than that.
I think it's a stupid term to use to just say gamer.
Should be hardcore gamers would be the distinction. Those are the people who actually play video games as a hobby versus people who play video games as a time killer.
So my father-in-law has been since 1995 on a Spider Solitaire playing through every single possible iteration. He's got a notepad and he writes down which ones he's beaten because in theory, no, to me, that's pretty hardcore.
No, that's hardcore geekery, but it's not a hardcore gamer. Yeah. There's a difference.
See, I think this is all arbitrary, these distinctions here. I think it's fascinating, but I think we're talking about the difference between something being a hobby and something being an identity, Dave. And I think you consider people who would take on the identity of gamer, who would say on their Facebook profile, I am a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs and gaming. Like that's what you're looking at. But there's lots of people who just play games because they enjoy it and it doesn't take on any part of their identity.
Well, yeah, I guess that is more the distinction is whether or not you really consider yourself to be a gamer or just you don't even think about it. But to you, playing a game is the same as turning on a TV show every now and then and watching the History Channel or whatever, versus to someone who identifies themselves as a gamer, they consider it a part of what makes them who they are.
It's kind of the difference between someone who has seen Star Wars and someone who's like a Star Wars fanatic.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good parallel. Someone who is
everyone has seen Star Wars.
A Trekkie or just happened to have seen a few episodes of Star Trek in their day, you know.
But you said it yourself. You said about how console games are basically aimed at they make themselves kind of negative to women. Yeah. And you're saying that because 50% of women are gamers, that somehow this should change. And I think what we're trying to say is that console gamers, if you look just at console gamers, just at people who will sit down in front of their TV and spend $60 on some new game, you're not going to find that many women, and hence you're not going to market to them.
No, but I think there are a few things that happened in the past 10 years that gaming experts said wouldn't happen that kind of proves them wrong. And they're rare and they're few and far between. The Sims was overwhelmingly one of the best-selling video games of all time at that point because it hit the complete demographic of gamers. It hit everyone. And I would also say the Nintendo Wii, as much as you dispute it, hit a much broader demographic of people who would call themselves gamers, but maybe aren't interested in playing games based around violence and misogyny. Like, I think that there is an opportunity here for some company. Now, Nintendo royally screwed it up with their latest console, but I think it's broader than that. I think there's an opportunity here in the market.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that, though.
But what does the violence have to do with gender? Do women not like violence?
You're right. You're right. That, I mean,
the misogyny stuff, yes, here. Obviously there's definitely still a lot of sexism in games, but the violence stuff, who cares, you know? That's just part, I mean, whether you like violence or not is not associated with your gender. There's lots of guys who hate violent games, and lots of girls who like them, like Jess, for example.
hang on.
Jess's favorite game is Uncharted, and that's super violent.
Whether you like scantily clad women or not also has nothing to do with your gender, technically.
That's true. It has to do with your... But it's not just this, it's not the scantily clad women. It's the overall broiness of a lot of games that could be a turn off to women too. There's a whole lot of bro fisting going on in the world of video games. That is. But
then what are you saying? We shouldn't have broy games?
No, you should have. But there should be some non-broy games too.
There should.
I'm saying
that are good because there are non-broy games. But the problem is usually they're like some shitty afterthought to the company that they put their Z team to make, and it comes out and
here's a big difference though. Okay, if someone puts out a YouTube series saying that, hey, some games are sexist, you end up getting attacked viciously by people who are just total assholes for no reason, saying, how dare you accuse games of being sexist sometimes, even though it's one of the most obvious things in the world. Now, those people are completely proving the point that these videos are trying to make, and they're idiots, and they don't deserve the light of day. But given that apparently these points of view are way more common than I ever would have thought, I could see why maybe there's an opportunity for someone who could make a better, moderated online gaming system that is intentionally welcoming to people of all backgrounds, people of all genders, people of all sexual orientations. I think there's an opening in the market there.
I don't think there will ever be a game that is welcoming to everybody, though, because the kind of games that you're talking about here, like, I have absolutely zero interest in playing.
I think there are those games out there for big consoles and things, though. It's just that maybe women are turned off by the rest of it, so they never get that far.
I like my violent...
And to be fair, there are plenty of women who like all these games as is, you know? I am just saying that there's a demographic... Someone's not looking at the demographic charts properly, and they're still catering to teenage boy sensibilities, and I think that they can be more mature without just being unnecessarily...
I mean, the fact is,
there's a way to go forward here.
The first major video game company that figures out a way to convert these 48% of women playing iPhone games and Wii games into regular gamers, or whatever you want to call it, is going to make a fuck ton of money, because that is a giant audience that is not being capitalized on. So from a business perspective...
saying. And this has already happened. EA did it with The Sims, okay? Nintendo kind of did it with the Wii, and then they screwed up the end game.
Yeah, they specifically call the Wii out in this article as being a huge... That actually, right now, more women play the Wii than men do. So
that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. There's a whole bunch of games that are ideal for people of all persuasions.
So if like EA could figure out a way, or Activision could figure out a way to like take the Call of Duty formula and somehow make that appeal to more people.
I would be willing to bet that Portal appealed to people of both genders more than a game like Call of Duty.
Probably. Portal just did it. It didn't. I don't think they marketed Portal enough to really make it.
Wait, Call of Duty on the Wii would be like Mario Kart, wouldn't it? The same damn thing pumped out year after year.
Well, that's what Call of Duty already is.
Mario Kart's pumped up every 5 years. It's not quite year after year.
Yeah, Call of Duty is year after year, man. Every single year.
Mario Kart.
Okay,
there's like
Super
almost
Mario
10 years between the two releases. Yeah.
I mean, there is that kind of formula already, right? It exists.
You know what'll also help too, though, which is kind of I think what Koshi is getting at. If people don't want to play bro games, they should just make one and stop complaining. Is, you know, as a younger generation of women coming up playing games like Minecraft and playing games on their phones and stuff, like, some of them are gonna start making games, and then when they do,
it's gonna happen.
They're gonna make the games that.
And you know, the trouble is, the games they make that make the news are the stupid ones, like Depression Quest.
Well, Zoe Quinn is a particular.
I don't know anything about that.
character. So
you're going to see more and more.
I almost said a lot. I think it's part things.
Of. It's part of the process of any medium maturing. Is you got to broaden your demographics.
How many game designers are women? Why don't we just up that number a bit, and then we'll see more female-oriented games, surely.
How do you up that number? What do you do? I think it's a matter of time, right?
Let's take a look at it this way. One of the most, what you could say, although, I don't know, maybe not. I look at Uncharted and I see, like, the most bro-y game that is out there. It stars a bro going around broing it up in looking for bro treasure. But the lead designer of Uncharted was a woman.
It's practically Barney Stinson starring.
Really,
but the lead designer of Uncharted was a woman. She's not there anymore. She moved on to go make a Star Wars game now over at Volition. But she was a woman, and that is Jess's favorite video game series. So maybe there was something in there.
Well,
that
you know
I'm
what?
not
A lot
seeing.
of people thought that the second we'd have a black president, racial issues would just go away forever.
But the
if you look at what's going on in Missouri right now, that's not the case, right? So it's not just put a female in charge and everything will solve itself. There's cultural questions here. It's more complicated than that.
But
no,
the question I'm asking is there something that is in that game that appeals to females that I'm just not seeing that makes Jess love it so much? Because it seems like
she likes it.
It's her favorite video game is Uncharted. Huh. So is there something that I'm not seeing outside of the broiness? I don't know. That just makes me wonder. It's the lead designer is a female, and it apparently has female appeal outside of the fact that Nathan Drake is handsome.
If you would like to hear more straight white males talking about gender issues, tune in next week for Technophilia Podcast. But before we wrap this thing up, I thought I would move along to what I hope can become a new feature here at the site, the subreddit of the week. I stumbled upon this morning. I wanted to share it with you. It's called First World Anarchists. It's a bunch of people breaking really rules that aren't that big a deal. On the homepage right now, it's National Dog Day, and people are putting pictures of cats. It's really funny, just kind of contradicting. There's a picture of someone pull with both hands on a towel dispenser, and some guy's just grabbing it with one hand. And he's like, "Yep, fuck you, towel dispenser. I'm going to do this however I want." So take a moment, scroll through this, laugh a little. It's a lot of fun.
This is my kind of protest.
Next week is r/Space Dicks. Is that the subreddit of the
week? No, you don't get to pick a subreddit of the week. Censor that, Dave. Yeah, you're.
I've still never been to r/Space Dicks. I'm very proud to say.
Don't. Really don't. There's no reason for you to do that. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. If you want to interact with us in real time, I highly recommend that you head to makeuseof.com/live on Wednesday mornings. It's actually Wednesday afternoon in the Eastern time zone. Wednesday evening, I think 6 p.m. if you're in the UK, which would make it 7 p.m. over in Europe. So, prime time viewing. Germans, get on
motherfuckers!
I want to thank you so much. If you'd like to hear from us throughout the week, you can follow Technophilia on Twitter @TheTechnophilia, or you can go to Facebook.com/Technophilia Podcast and have Facebook filter out our posts so you never see them. Thanks so much again. My name was Justin Putt. I was joined by Dave LeClaire and James Bruce. Have a fantastic week, everyone. You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Technophilia. Listening to Technophilia. Technophilia. You're listening. Technophilia. Doing that.
Well, I don't know who assigned that arbitrary rule that you can't drink in the morning, but I say bullshit.
Should we move on to the news then? Or you got something else? We'll see. Get off the internet and get to work.
I'm too perfect anyway. I got nothing to fix.
You're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. Technophilia.